they said, something's different here. They went to the central market where one finds the best food in town, and the women were like, hey, you gotta come to my stand, come here, dragging her husbands, you're skinny, And they just thought, whoa, these women are really different from the other parts of Mexico where they had seen indigenous women where the women were following behind their husbands or whatever. That was the impression that they had about the other places, and they said, ooh, this is different. So immediately, Ellen wanted to make a film. So when she came back home, she did some research and learned that this town had a reputation of being a matriarchy. So she got really intrigued. She got me involved, first of all, as an editor, and I kept calling her and saying, hey, how are you doing with your project? Because it was taking a long time for her to raise money and stuff. So she finally said, her producer that she'd been working with left town, and she said, hey, Maureen, maybe you want to work with me as a director. And so we decided to co-direct it. And we did a research trip in, I guess it was 92. We went down and just had a high-end camera with us. So there actually is another little film called Skirt Full of Butterflies that was 15 minutes long. It was like our sample tape. But because it took so long to raise money, we turned it into a film. We didn't just want to, have it for raising funds for the film. It's a charming little film, again, which I also hope to get restored and renovated. And, anyway, so then we went back and found our crew. We really wanted to have a Mexican crew because we thought this is the way to do it. Not only because the people are gonna, they obviously know Spanish, it's their country, and Mexico has a fantastic film history and very talented people. And we found Javier Perez Grobet, who is, when I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh my God, Javier is so good. Now he's in Hollywood, working on features. And Gabriela Espinosa was a woman sound recordist who was from there. And so she even understood Zapotec. So we were very happy. Thanks for coming, you guys. We were very happy that we had this nice crew. So then we went back in '94 and started filming in January of '94, which is right when all the stuff was going on with the Zapatistas further south. But I guess we were only able to be there for about a month. We shot everything. 16 millimeter is not like video. You can shoot hours and hours and hours and hundreds of hours with video and digital these days, but 16 millimeter you have to be really careful. So this was probably 20-to-1 ratio, and the films I'm editing now are like 400-to-1 or 300-to-1. So the cinematographer has to really know what, be very careful what they're shooting and stuff.
Can you recount any moments that were lost due to the film running out or something malfunctioning, or you just couldn't get it running in time to catch the moment?
With this film, I can't remember. I mean, it's been a while. Certainly, we were really upset when the Elle article came out. Literally a week or two into shooting, which meant that it really messed us up. I mean, people were afraid of us. I mean, it was really upsetting. And we had been so careful to bring photographs back. We brought copies of Skirt Full of Butterflies for all of our friends. And those people really did support us. They knew that we were not like the Elle magazine people. But we thought, okay, we're going to just use this as an example of how, bad, rumors can create false images, how representation is not taken seriously by outsiders. People go in and, take a few shots, they spend a day or two there, say, oh, we got the matriarchy now, and go home and you never hear anything more about it, except for the after effects, maybe of somebody coming down later saying, oh, I saw you guys were, with the wrong imagery when they get there.
Do we have any questions for Maureen? Yes?
I have a question.
I noticed how intimate the camera is with a lot of the people there. And back when you shot this, I'm not sure when it was exactly, but is it in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, the cameras were a lot bigger and in people's faces. How did you get such intimacy with a larger camera like that?
Well, Javier was really good, and we had the young woman that talks about her mother was our location assistant, and she was really great. She knew everybody. She's, could translate the Zapotec for us, and she, eased the social, the social things for us a lot. And we had got to know some of the people before. We started with them, we had met Martha Toledo, we had met Marina Meneses, we'd met Maria Ciro, we'd met the woman that made the plums, and Florinda, the teacher. We'd met them already, and they just felt comfortable with us. And also as an editor, you sometimes cut out the self-conscious stuff, because I always like to have the moments in that are the most authentic, that show the people comfortable in the way they are. And as an editor especially, you can do that. You can choose those moments that are more authentic.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just curious, Maureen, about after you completed the film, and I assume you screened it in Juchitán at some point, what was the response?
Well, that was so extraordinary. I mean, the trip was charmed from the beginning. I mean, when I got on the plane, there was some reason, like they were shuffling me around. I know, I was late. I was late for the plane, and they almost didn't let me go on down to the gate. And when I got on the plane, they said, well, the only seats that are left are in first class. So I got on first class to go to my Mexican premieres of Blossoms of Fire. There was a woman named Lidia Aguilera who used to work at the Mexican consulate. She and her friend Adriana, who lives here, they decided they wanted to go with us. And Tony Hanna, who wrote the narration and was an assistant producer on this, she came too. And so we had this nice little gang of people. And there was 2 screenings set up in Juchitán. One at the Casa de Cultura, outside on a screen, big screen. They had a really nice screen, and it was just delightful. I mean, I was able to give videos to everybody because we had them made by then, and we had the fireworks people set off fireworks for us. We had a little reception afterwards with treats, and people that were in the film showed up, and the woman with the iguanas on her head in the photograph, she was one person that didn't want to be filmed when we were doing the film, and she implied that she really wanted to get paid because she had been sort of taken advantage of after the photographer Graciela Iturbe made her famous. So she just figured she should get paid whenever anybody filmed her. So we decided not to film her because we didn't have that kind of budget. So when she came up to me, she went like this. And then she said, "Where's my video?" And I thought she was going to ask for money, but she just wanted her DVD. So I was really happy about that. And then the second screening was in the plaza. So we had hundreds of people watching it on a big screen, and we had the Zanates flying around, and I knew, I was so emotional because the market was like half a block away, and the market people, it was just fantastic. And then we went on to Mexico City and showed it there and had a great reception in Mexico City as well. So it was just perfect for, what you would hope for.
You have a new project I read on your website, or you've been working on that for a while. Can you talk about the status and what the project entails?
Which one?
It's a new documentary.
The one about Barbara Dane?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm directing and producing and editing, well actually I've got a producer working with me, on jazz, blues, folk singer, political activist Barbara Dane. She lives in Oakland, she's 95, she's still with us, just barely, but we're desperately trying to get the film done so she can see it. But it's called The 9 Lives of Barbara Dane, and it's about her amazing life from being, basically rubbing up against many of the cultural luminaries of the 20th century and playing music with them. And she was a white woman who sings the blues and was one of the rare white women who hung out with black musicians like Muddy Waters, and she almost went on the road with Louis Armstrong because he liked her so much. But she was also very political and had kind of gotten away sometimes. And she also sort of was always standing up for herself and for her political beliefs. And it really sort of affected the way that her trajectory went. She was sort of a rising star, but she turned down Albert Grossman, the guy that, was Bob Dylan's manager, and she because she didn't want to be treated like she didn't like how he was treating her, but she became a folk singer during all the 60s and 70s and worked with Jane Fonda and the GI Coffee House movement and had a small record label of protest song gatherings, song music that she got excited about when she broke the embargo with Cuba by being one of the first performers to perform there. She's a household word in Cuba. Anyway, fascinating person.
Thank you. Question, yes?
Well, you made me steer my question differently because I just want to reiterate that Barbara Dane is a hero beyond hero. She's our hero here in the Bay Area, but a global hero, an inspiration. If you don't do anything else today, look her up on the internet and then support whatever needs to be supported to complete this documentary. I know Barbara personally, but I'm out of touch in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So can you, if you're comfortable doing it, can you open up a little bit about her condition now? I mean, it wasn't that long ago, it seems to me. I guess it was pre-COVID, I suppose, of course. But when she performed at the Freight, at her 90th birthday. But how is she doing?
Well, she's kind of having a hard time right now. She's had lots of different little things happen that sort of, she's in a rehab facility, and she's sort of weak and trying to get some of her strength back so she can just walk, with her walker. And I'm just hoping and praying she'll be able to do it. Her daughter is just the most amazing person, Nina Menendez, who really has been a caregiver, almost like a caregiver and sister. I mean, they have such a tight relationship. And they're both keeping each other alive because Nina's been through some health stuff too, cancer and other things. So, but Barbara came out with a book. And they had a book release event at the Freight last fall. And so her book is out there. It's called This Bell Still Rings. My life of I'll think of it, something and so on. Anyway, any other comments or about these films or? Oh.
Are you going to have another one again?
What?
You said you're going to be releasing it?
Well, I've been wanting to do Juchitán, X number of years later. Of course, now it's 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever. To just be about my relationship with the people, and it's been really something to follow their trajectories individually. I've gotten to know Marta Toledo very well, and she's been up here singing it. She's been at the Brava, she's been at La Peña, she has performed at Guelaguetzas in Santa Rosa, and I think San Jose, and She has several CDs. I happen to have one of them called Nostalgia. Anyway, and then I'm friends with a lot of these folks on Facebook, the ones that are still here. I mean, it's very emotional for me to see the film now, knowing who has passed away and for different reasons because of age and other things. And then, of course, the earthquake. I did go back about a year after the earthquake and did some filming with some of the people in Blossoms of Fire, like Marta and Susanna and Felina, the Mouche, and about their experiences during the earthquake. And I wanted to do a film about that. But since then, of course, there's been COVID. It's like, and then. So I don't know what's going to be going on when I go back there, but I'd like to incorporate, as in this film, incorporate the people's own documentation. Because as everybody, pretty much all over the world now, people are documenting their own stories, and they're right there, and they've got the first-hand view of things, and I would like to incorporate their perspectives into whatever film I do, and use Blossoms of Fire also as archival material, since that's what it is now. Yes?
Maureen, could you mention your upcoming event in Paris? You're being honored by the Pompidou Center in Paris.
Oh, yes.
Your work and Les Blank's work. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, Les Blank's son, Herod Blank, is a real go-getter, and somewhere along the line, he connected up with the Centre Pompidou in Paris, and they are now mounting a major retrospective of Les Blank films. Les Blank is who I worked with for 20 years, and we made a lot of great films, especially about music, and Werner Herzog eating his shoe and doing a film in the Amazon. And it's going to be like a 2 or 3 month program of 18 films, subtitled in French, and Herod and I are going to go for a week. And so if you know anybody in Paris or are in Paris in April, end of April, early May, we'll be there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time for a few more questions. Yeah.
Can you remember the taste of the plums?
Yes.
I was just trying to, watching it, I was wondering
Right.
what it tasted like the whole time. And
Right. Well, they're kind of candied, and they're maybe slightly alcoholic. They're very unusual. I think they're sort of an acquired taste, but the people there love them. I mean, it's one of the sweets that people eat there, and hers are definitely super handmade, and yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I want to ask a question about Blossoms, but also about Barbara. I have a radio program, so Barbara's been on quite a few times.
Oh, I know who you are now. I recognize her voice.
Okay.
Dory?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so I have a 3-hour, I don't know how long it was, I mean, maybe it was all 4 hours at that time, interview with Barbara, edited with music. If anyone wants a copy and you can listen to audio files, just give me your email at some point. I'm here, so I'll give it to you.
We actually used some clips from that interview in the film.
That's one.
The interview you did with her, and we give you credit.
Oh,
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And Dane, by the way, is D-A-N-E if you didn't look her up.
Yes.
About the film, well, I guess 2 parts. One is, do you know to what extent the area that was so demolished by the earthquake is now, what are the scars of that? And secondly, there was this big question about modernization coming so quickly. Can they preserve the culture, the spirit? Where are we at in terms of that, as far as you know?
Yeah. Well, it's that's a lot of big question. I was there after. Well, okay. The institutions their key institutions got damaged. The church got damaged. The city hall got damaged. The hospital got damaged. The school got damaged. The cultural center got damaged. All their main, important institutions got damaged. And I think by the time I got there, there was, some of the rubble had been carted away, and I think there were still people sleeping outside, or, and having to not being able to be in their homes. So I don't know now. That's been several years ago already. So I'm sure a lot has changed since then. In terms of the outside influences, there was I can't remember what year it was, but I started getting these emails about, oh my God, they're building a Walmart in Juchitán. And I thought, that's sacrilegious. And there was a campaign, it was Sam's Club, which is kind of the equivalent in Mexico. And so there was a big campaign about keeping Sam's Club out of Juchitán. Well, they opened a big box store there outside on the edge of town, and I wanted to find out, did people like it? Did they want to go there? And there were people that said, you can't get fresh chickens there. You can't get, they talked to the market women. I was worried that they were going to get impacted. And I think it did to some degree, but I think it also just provided some things that they could get that they didn't have to go to Oaxaca or some of the big cities to get. And I think they still use the market. The market, as you can see in this last film, because the whole marketplace got destroyed, they moved the market to the Central Plaza and took it over. And that was one of the market women almost immediately did something and set up the market, because everybody has to go to the market. And they figured out how to do that. And I just thought that was really cool. That's something that I saw when I was there. And there were lots of places to eat, little stands that people had set up, and they, long tables and tarps and stuff. And and in terms of, they have had some of the same difficulties of other communities in Mexico and Central America, of immigrants coming through, and sometimes not the great people, ending up in their town. Like they've had more prostitutes and people, drug selling and stuff like that. So they have not been spared that, so they've had some of those same kind of problems that we all have had.
When you look at the documentary form, just as a last question, in all the years you've worked in documentaries, like what gives you hope for the future as as a genre documentary, or where it could maybe evolve from here?
Well, there's some really good films being made right now, really good documentaries. I mean, I much prefer documentaries these days than dramatic films in most cases. And I think part of it is that there's been more of a democratization of the technology, which helps. That means that more people can, don't have to be rich to make a film. The important thing, of course, is having good ideas and good stories. It does mean that, if you're a judge on a film festival, sometimes you have to wade through a lot of stuff that isn't very good to get to the cream of the crop. There's more cream of the crop, but there's also more dross.
Did you want to say anything before we finish?
Just thanks for coming out on a sunny day. And I'll be glad to answer any other questions. You're just hanging out, I guess.
Yes.
You provided the sun inside.
Thank you so much.
Oh, great.
Thanks, Maureen.
We have a box of films, documentary films, whatever, and they're free for the taking. So if you still have a DVD player, please go ahead and pick something up. Lots of recent film these are all Oscar-nominated films.